We're going to start the Plan Commission for the City of Hudson for Thursday, January 21st, 2016. And I will call the meeting to order and move right to number 2, discussion and possible action on a certified survey map, 2 commercial lots, 1.782 acres for a proposed 2nd Street and 1.6 acres for 201 2nd Street, Mike Liberty and MLME Holdings.
The proposed certified survey map is the area from just south of the Dairy Queen, south and including where the Northwest Mutual office building is located at, creating a new development lot for the proposed Hudson Boat Works project, then a outlot, which would be a common area where the entrance is at, and then this lot 2 will be the where the Northwest Mutual building is located at. I'd like to kind of talk about both projects, and we'll, after we discuss both the certified survey map and then you'll see, and we talked to Hudson Boat Works, and you'll see how that project fits in with the certified survey map. So I'd like to kind of go over both items 2 and 3 at the same time. So
Okay, I'll read off 3 for us from the
thank you.
audience. So number 3 is discussion and possible action on the final development plans, Hudson Boat Works, 7,440 square feet, commercial phase 1 improvements, and 2 future buildings at 175 2nd Street, Half Red LLC.
John, are you going to show it up on the screen? Okay, thank you. The project, again, this is on the south side is where the Northwest Mutual building's at. So I've indicated on the site plan basically where the proposed property lines are at. Everything south will be the lot 2 for on the certified survey map that you have. This area, which is the entrance area, this is the driveway going into Northwest Mutual. This is the driveway coming into the Hudson Boat Works project. That'll be out lot 1, and everything else is lot 1 where the proposed Hudson Boat Works project's at. The Hudson Boat Works project basically comprises of about a 7,000 square foot building. It'll be 2 stories above ground with 1 basement level. Right now it's proposed low American kitchen restaurant, and the half architectural firm would be located in this building. They're providing 36 off-street parking places. Again, the existing access going into Northwest Mutual will just be extended and come in. Parking will be in this general area. What they're showing is maybe a 2nd or 3rd phase where 2 potential buildings would be located just north of the proposed initial building here. Sanitary sewer will run here and down. Storm sewer will run through the parking lot and again down. One issue with the storm sewer is there'd be an addition to a catch basin located at the entrance into Dairy Queen, because most of 2nd Street's pitched this way, and currently there's stormwater running here. And part of the reason we want to do this is because we're trying to reduce, Fred, as you mentioned in the very first meeting, was the amount of stormwater collects down.
Well, floodplain.
And so catch it here, it'd be temporary. Now, what city staff wants to talk to DLT about, hopefully in 2021, they're going to grind and overlay 2nd Street. What we'd want to try to do is see if they would consider constructing or extending that dedicated right turn lane as you go north. And then at that time, the stormwater system could be redone, so all that would stay in the Highway 35 area. So, and in general, that's it. I don't know if Mike or Matt, you have comments, or maybe you want to go over with the use of the building and so forth with the Plan Commission.
Yep. So like what Denny mentioned, it is kind of a 3-phase project. Our first phase is getting this first building furthest to the south completed. It is about 7,000 square feet. We have a partial basement right now. We've been going kind of back and forth on full basement or partial basement, just due to kind of the soil corrections that need to happen on the site. The site, since it was home to that street initially for a very long time, has a lot of the utilities that were located directly underneath like any typical street now would. So we've been working kind of back and forth with the city engineers and our civil engineer on figuring out the best routes for all of the utilities to handle all three buildings, and to kind of have a phase plan so that we can attach certain, water hookups and things like that to the first building, and then have stubs for the second two buildings. And different things like that to make all of the utilities work with the three-phase development. Like Denny mentioned, the first floor will be Lolo American Kitchen. They have one right now in Stillwater that is in another one of our buildings right down on Main Street. And they're trying to just kind of expand into Hudson. They actually originally wanted to be in Hudson, and they just couldn't find a space that would work for kind of what they were going for as far as the aesthetic of everything. But now they've kind of gained a little bit of a reputation, and so now we're ready to kind of expand their brand back into Hudson, get them a nice new layout, still with kind of the same feel as the one in Stillwater. A lot of large glass openings, as you can see from kind of the perspective of it. It's got kind of large warehouse openings in it, so it kind of mimics an old warehouse type of design.
What would be the capacity of that restaurant, may I ask?
The seating is about 77 right now.
Okay.
So it'll be anywhere around there, and depending on how exactly we get out of our kitchen and everything into there, I think 77 is really the max, so we might have to tailor that back a little bit.
What's the height of the, your half sign on top of?
Well, I mean, that is not a permitted sign, so it's,
That we'll get to at a later time, I guess, but,
Okay.
the city will not issue a permit for that type of sign, and
yeah.
Okay.
But that was just kind of more to show kind of the separation from second floor to first floor. But basically our wall height is 28.6 to the brick here. And then we have a little pop-up that's kind of pushed back from the front of the building. And that goes up to 35 feet.
So the top of the building's 35 feet.
Yeah, at the highest point, but it's really kind of 28.6 around the whole brick perimeter, and then the little pop-up just sticks up a little bit higher.
I don't know if this is time to address it, but my biggest concern is traffic flow and taking a left-hand turn out of there. And with 77 seats, give or take, I'm really concerned about the congestion that's gonna happen down there, including dinner time hours when those people are also getting home from work,
Yeah.
coming in and out of there. We also have a slated project for the, I don't know what your time frame is for the start of construction, the I-94 Wisconsin DOT project, exit 1 resurfacing and re-bridge decking.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be a mess.
Yeah.
It just seems to be, we've got a traffic issue we gotta deal with, and that's my concern, and I don't know if the commission is.
Well, I want to comment on that too. Number one, that's why I asked the capacity. And coming south to enter your property, people are accelerating going out of town, and to turn left with all the incoming traffic that's coming in at dinner time, people coming home from their commute. I think that's almost a recipe for disaster. People trying to accelerate to get out to the interstate, and then somebody wants to turn left and they can't turn because the traffic is all stacked up as we see it all the way back to the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I share that exactly. And then number two, to leave your property, to try to turn left with that same set of conditions, how in the world would they ever be able to do that? And if you got one car stopped waiting to turn left going south to get into your property, and you got 2 lanes of cars coming out of town, oh boy, you got a mess. You almost need a turn lane.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and, right now the Dairy Queen site is right there, and they have about 24 stalls of their parking. And then directly to the south is Mike's Northwestern Mutual parking lot, which has about the same 30-some stalls as we have. And their office, so they leave at 5 every day, and so they have, I don't know exactly if they do have a problem or not, but, that kind of traffic rush is really from 5 to 5:30-ish, I would say, or 4:30 to 5:30-ish.
3 to 6.
Yeah, whatever, yeah, exactly.
Well, don't get me wrong, not to interrupt you, but I think it's a great project, and I want to see Lolo. I'm all in favor for it. But the safety conditions for this is just blaring at us, and at 5 o'clock, now, you can't compare a restaurant to an office building of that kind.
Yeah.
There's more traffic coming in and out, there's drinks that might have been had, there's all sorts of conditions that an office does not compare to a restaurant.
Yeah, but in terms of parking capacity and,
I'm not talking parking, this is traffic flow is a huge concern of mine.
Yeah, and our dinner crowd starts at about 4 and goes to about 7. So we don't see much movement still during that time.
I don't know, what's the rest of you guys think of that?
The fact that it's 2 lanes. The other thing I see is if you're coming out of the new development and you're gonna take a left, and you have a courteous person that stops in the right lane for you, well, that left lane is gonna blast you. I just see it. And I think I've actually seen that exact accident at that intersection where somebody stopped to let them out. Well, the one in the left lane didn't know that's why they were stopping, and they blasted them. So that's same.
No left turn when you exit that property.
I
mean,
think that
that's-
would be the only option.
Right,
The only option is no left turn.
right.
And that's a note I had, is saying, can we put no left turn restriction on there? I mean, there's a lot of what-ifs coming down the road as far as traffic flow, especially with the other construction happening in the city.
yeah.
The other issue I want to raise, and I've asked this before, and Denny, maybe you know the answer to this, maybe you don't, and maybe I'm out in left field here, but with the vacation of that property, it's my understanding, maybe, that the state will want more land for stacking for that intersection at the Dairy Queen, maybe taking, needing to widen out that, where it goes from 2 to...
That was accommodated for when we vacated the street,
Okay, so that's not an issue?
no.
Okay.
So from where the curb is to where the property line is, there's plenty of room to get.
Okay.
Yeah, there's,
Well, just to make sure that's thought of, I guess, is why I keep bringing
no,
it up.
we were very careful about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, you can kind of see it from the curb to the property line. At the north end there, I think is 25 or so feet, or 20 feet maybe.
And the
With
oth-
that turn lane being about 14 feet.
The other thing that would be of concern is, like you say, 77 for the restaurant, and then the architects won't have a huge footprint, we realize that, but then with the other other 2 buildings, what is the potential capacity of those, then knowing what the full impact of that property is, makes a huge difference. And what type of development goes in there, if it's more restaurants, if it's professional, where they're in there at 8 and out at 5, that's the best. We all know that.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's a retail operation, in and out constantly, that adds to what we're already saying, and we don't know that as we speak.
Yeah, exactly. But, we're trying to kind of get a lot of different options for that. The most that we've explored, though, for the second 2 buildings is office space on both main floor and second floor. And both of those 2 buildings are 4,000 square feet apiece.
Okay. Smaller.
So, yeah, the footprint is 2,000 feet, so they're smaller buildings in comparison to the first one especially.
Beautiful plan. I like what you're trying to do. It's, as Mr. Morissette is saying, it's just the traffic that
Yeah,
we have to solve to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense.
How do we solve it? I don't,
Well,
it's a conundrum that I don't know we have the width of right-of-way to
Yeah.
add a turning lane.
No, you're not, the two left turn are the issues. Left turn coming out, or even left turn going south, going into the site. That's, you know, they know that's a condition that already exists. I mean, they know going into this project that that's gonna be a concern for them. I guess if you wanna consider no left turn, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have that peak hour as an issue when that happens, but those people coming and going out of that, I mean, that could be a deterrent for people even wanting to go to Lolo's. I mean, the architectural, that's not gonna be an issue for them, but for the restaurant, that could potentially be a deterrent for people wanting to go.
Well, it forced
That
people to
site.
go down to Edina and do a U-Ball and come back. I mean, if you couldn't get in by leaving town, you couldn't do a U-Ball and come back. And I mean, is that what
If
we
you have a
want?
right turn out only, then that forces them to go into downtown, turn around somewhere, so.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It adds more congestion, but it also forces them down in maybe more shops, I don't know, more retail, but we wouldn't be doing our job, both as a public safety chairman and as commissioners, if we don't make it safe for them. We have to force this issue of making it safe. Not only for our residents and everybody that's visiting, but also for your restaurant to succeed. And if it's, I don't know if you can force those left turns with a median in the middle of the turn lane, or if that inhibits it. But another, like Fred, you said, going south, they step on the speed and someone's trying to turn, you're gonna have rear-ended accidents and worse coming. It's just,
Not good.
and it's not wide enough to put a dedicated turn lane there right now. I mean, I want to make it work, but we got to be smart about how we're doing this, because it could hurt your business and it could hurt our residents and visitors, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and shame on us all if we don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if the project was just designed as 3 office buildings and there was no restaurant in there, we're only saving 12 cars.
Yeah, but the concern is
It's
still
the coming
there.
and going.
Yeah. They're still gonna make that turn, whether it's,
Low impact makes a difference, there's no question, but the same set of conditions exist. And that's why we're asking, that's why I asked the capacity of the restaurant, because that more or less dictates what kind of traffic you might see.
Yeah.
And with a 77 capacity, that means people will be coming and going. I mean, let's say it's 3 people, that's 25 cars every hour, say, going in to eat, they eat in an hour and then they leave. And maybe that's too quick, but, something like
Our
that.
turns are an hour and 3/4.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, it's there.
I wanna see us make this work, but Denny, I don't know if that's just one solution, is no left-hand turns or anything. What else?
Are we just simply pushing the same problem downtown then? Because, I appreciate the idea of the retail benefiting, but if you're ready to head back to Minnesota and you're forced to take a right turn, you're not gonna get downtown and say, oh, we should just stop in as long. You're probably kind of bothered that you could only take a right turn. I mean, I'm totally with you.
I get that, but I could really care less on error on safety,
No, I
force
know,
them
but,
down there.
but the other option is, okay, so you're forced to take a right. So now you're gonna go down and swing through the Riverfront Mall.
Or whatever.
Is that any safer?
Typically, we have 12 employees, and I'd say 8 of them have left.
Mike, why don't you come up and,
Yeah, we have 12 employees, and I'd say 8 of them have left at 5 o'clock. Well, we typically encourage, if they can't get out, just go right, go up Cooley, and they get right on 94 there. So that typically isn't a problem. Coming in from Hudson heading south and then turning left, as long as you put your blinker on right away, it seems to be no issue of cars just going in the second lane and then continue to head south.
That's in the morning.
That's in the morning, yeah.
how many accidents have you seen over there?
We have seen one probably 3-4 years ago. And the situation was they went out, took a left, and they got hit by that second lane.
That's
But we always
exactly the
encourage
one I saw.
clients and staff, just go out, you have no problem turning right, head up Cooley and hop on 94 right there. It's never been an issue. So, yeah, and like I said, coming south with the morning or afternoon, put your blinker on by Dairy Queen, and cars have no problem as they're accelerating, getting into the right lane and getting on 94 that way. Because typically if they're heading south, they're usually gonna be heading to Minnesota anyway. They're gonna be in that right lane, heading past our building anyway.
Let me ask a question, and you mentioned this in your comments, that you talked about Dairy Queen and their parking, and then the extra parking down at the investment place. Have you talked to those people, or are you guys trying to work together to have what called shared parking and maybe another access to your property via their parking lots or something like that? I mean, it's just an idea, maybe it's a dumb one, but it's
Yeah.
something to explore.
We have a shared entrance, which, you know.
Right.
Is that piece right there, and you
Yeah.
head south to Mike's building, and then you head north into the development here.
But I'm talking
Here
you
you
coming
go.
and up there.
Yeah, exactly. There's a difference in grade there, so what we've done is contained all of our parking onto the site and not had to do any shared parking or anything like that.
Fred, I think the answer to some of that is I've had conversations with the owner of Dairy Queen, and he's concerned with the same questions, and no, I don't think you guys have had a sit-down conversation about parking, and I don't think he wants any of that. That's his parking.
Yeah,
He's-
exactly.
I think he's made it very clear, it's separate identities.
Yeah.
Still have to ask the question.
Right, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we take the chance? That's a big question. I mean, you know, Mike, I appreciate the whole project that you got going there. But my concern, again, can we do this safely?
Yeah. Our experience has been over the last, since we've been there since 2010, is as clients go to pull out, they see these cars are stacked, put the right blinker on, no problem getting out, going right, and then they just head up Cooley and hop on 94 there. So we haven't had a problem with it. And as clients leave, if we know they're heading back to the Twin Cities, we'll just say, hey, turn right, heading out.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a problem with it.
What's your time frame? What's your expected start and well, you can't really say finish, but start.
The start would be this spring still. We don't know, you know, the exact start date yet. But the goal would be to get Lolo up and running still this year, if not, you know, early next year, depending on how everything goes.
What's the DOT's time frame on 94 construction?
Well, 94, the bridge decking's gonna be completed will be done in 2017. Going south, going into Minnesota will remain open during the entire project. If you're coming west, you're trying to get off, you will not be able to get off and come into Hudson. But the off-ramp or on-ramp going west into Minnesota will be open the entire project. Just the off-ramp. So you have, basically, you get off at Carmichael, or you cross the bridge, turn around, and come back the other way. But
How long will that be closed up? They figure.
basically, construction season, because the project's ready, the redecking of the two bridges, that's what
So that'll
the
be the whole
project
summer,
is.
it'll,
Pretty
whole
much,
season
yeah.
will be gone.
Well, my question then is, Denny, do we have any options to explore on a turn lane or anything else? Or is it just, if the answer to that's no, then it comes down to a pure signage issue, you know, right in, right out, or however you want to say it. And, I mean, if we don't have any options, then it's just a pure turn, you know, instructing people how to enter and leave. I mean, we need to know that. I mean, otherwise, we delay and ask for what other options we got. If not, we address it.
Yeah, the only addition to lanes that we're aware of would be this from Cooley Road down to this entrance where you get that extended dedicated right turn lane going up to Cooley. That's the only addition we've talked to the state with.
Okay.
So what's the pleasure of the committee?
Well, that in and of itself, that lane really impacts us in no way.
That's exiting off the interstate, pretty much.
Right.
Right.
That would avoid some of the stacking though, because a lot of stacking takes place because people can't get to that third lane.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So a lot of that traffic wouldn't be stacked up by the
Yeah.
time we got to our side. So once that third lane's in, we got clear to go both directions.
Well, if we approve this, then we have to make sure that the signage and that is, required no left turns, everything needs to be
But I mean, you can do
included.
that by more than signage, correct? I mean, you could put a island.
Well, and that's what I was thinking, but I don't know if that's feasible or if that causes more problems.
Yeah,
In the middle of the turn of the drive there?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or could it be something where it's, no left turn from, from so-and-so hours, from 3 to 6 or whatever it was, the most highly congested on that road.
And,
I read that
one
sign,
or all,
I'd blast right through it. I mean, that's just human nature.
Yeah.
one or all, not,
But even a no left turn, purely on its own, scares me a little bit because plenty of people say, well, that doesn't apply
There's
to me.
nobody here.
That's why I think if we could
Nobody
put
will
an
catch me.
island in that, basically forces people to the right.
and we do have that situation at the Target entrance in Cooley,
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
And you had the same thing at the old golf course entrance, and you'd watch people go around that.
There's still gonna be.
Yeah, they'd look, there's no, depending on the hour of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The right in, right out will impact the restaurant, to let you guys know. I'm not sure if that's gonna work out.
Difficult thing, other than 3 to 6, so a lot of our clients are coming from Hudson too. If we couldn't turn left and there's no traffic, that would have an impact too. For the
Because
most part-
everybody's gonna just violate it. During those hours.
What's your pleasure?
You make a recommendation to council, or your option would be is to, I know these guys want to move the project ahead, but it would be to postpone it. We try to work this access issue out.
Sounds like that's
Since I guess the only unresolved issue.
what's taking place, since it's really not coming forward to approve it at this point.
Right.
I mean,
I think
you
that's.
have that
I'm
responsibility.
gonna move to postpone until we have every possible option as to entrance, exit, signage, that any decision that's made is made with all information and knowing how it's gonna affect the property. We don't want to impair your property not to work. I hope you understand that. But in the same breath, I hope you understand what we're trying to describe as the conditions that need to be looked at and addressed. And the answers we heard here, I guess we don't feel we're good enough or we're bulletproof enough to really fix, the situation that would be created by, the traffic that would go in and out of your property.
Our concern again is that we feel that there's about half of the traffic coming to the south, so to say that you can't even get into that site is detrimental to any success of a restaurant. Because traffic and location they're the most important part.
I agree with you.
And just to, so again, we've never had an issue turning left coming south. It's always just seems to be that 5 o'clock hour turning left going back to Minnesota. But again, the fix there has always been, when you see 2 lanes of traffic stacked up, you're gonna put your right blinker on and just turn right and go on Cooley. So we have never had an issue with it, in the 5 years, 6 years we've been down there.
Right.
And most of our traffic is staff leaving at 5 o'clock,
Well, that's your professional staff, yes.
right?
But we're talking about everything though, too.
Right.
So I guess if, I don't know if you have enough time for the next meeting on the, 28th, 29th?
Try.
I mean, because I don't want to delay it. I know you don't want to delay it any longer. I don't think anybody does. And we want, like Fred said, the success of the project, both the restaurant and otherwise. But we have to be smart about how we put this in, safety concerns. So there was a motion to delay. Do you want a time frame on that?
Well, I want it resolved as soon as possible. I mean, in the next possible meeting or even a special meeting, if information can come forward to fix this, let's fix it and get it done. I mean, I don't want to delay it, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? So we will postpone that to the next available meeting, or as Denny makes it possible, so. Any other business for the committee? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes, we're adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.